Yeah.
Daddy's got no... Right, Daddy wants to up there. Right, we'll stay here. Come on, Jessica. Too far down now. Jessica, you jumped off the wall, that was screaming.
That's a muddy one.
Morning everyone, just to let you know, the next feeding of the day will be taking place at 12 o'clock, and that will be in our resident Silver Lane, next door to the shopping
Hands
centre.
it.
The next feeding is 12 at 12. Thank you.
Right, there's one down here. Okay, get out down here.
Time is it?
feeding and talk will be taking place in our resident seal pool, which is located immediately next door to the shop and the cafeteria. That's the next feed and seal talk taking place in the pool in just a couple of minutes' time next to the shop and the cafeteria. Thank you.
They're coming now.
Hi, good afternoon everybody, welcome to the Seal Sanctuary. My name is Lindsay, I make up part of the animal care team here. And for this talk, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to some of the resident animals that live at the Seal Sanctuary and tell you a bit about why they're here. Now, as I'm sure you're well aware, the Seal Sanctuary was actually set up well over 40 years ago now to act as a marine animal rescue centre for the Atlantic grey seal, and that is the species of seal that you'll find around the Cornish coast. However, over the years, as the place has grown a little bit, we have also collected a number of animals which have come to live with us permanently. And that includes a group of grey seals, of which we've got 3 males living in here. Also 2 groups of sea lions, our Californian sea lions and Patagonian sea lions in the pools next door. And slightly unusually for Marine Animal Rescue Centre, of course, there are our donkeys and ponies and goats, which all live up on the hills behind me here. Now, as I say, in here we've got male grey seals, and if you're interested to discover what the differences between a male and a female are, if you should see them out in the wild, well, what you need to do is first of all have a look and see what sort of colour they are. Greys are traditionally this sort of darker charcoal grey colour. They're also a little bit bigger than the females, and they do also have a slightly larger nose, slightly Roman shaped. Now this handsome fellow being one of the most aggressive species of seals, so you wouldn't really want to get as close as I am to Scooby if you met one of these fellas out in the wild. However, Scooby's been with us in captivity since he was a pup, and that's about 30 years now. He was rescued after being washed up in a storm against some rocks, and unfortunately he did receive some nasty head injuries and he fractured his bottom jaw. Now, all those years ago, our medical knowledge for treating these guys was still very much in its early stages, and we didn't really know how to sort of anaesthetise them and wire together jaws very well. So it was decided that Scooby would probably have to remain in captivity because his jaw was left to mend naturally. And you might be able to see when he lifts his head up, and it's actually quite a bit crooked and it's sort of shonked to one side, which makes it difficult for him to actually grab his fish, which is one of the reasons why he likes to come and sit out on the side like this and get hand-fed, because he knows that the other 2 boys are a bit faster than him when it comes to getting his fish. And of course, oh no, we're going to get mobbed in a minute. Of course, the seagulls as well are very, very fast as well, so... Now, if Scooby thinks you're being a bit slow with feeding, as you can see, you can always hurl the bucket on the floor. And the other thing that he likes to do is slap his flipper up against his side to attract your attention. And if that doesn't work, then he'll start blowing loud raspberries through his nose. So that's Scooby. Also in here is Flipper, who's one who keeps piling out on the side periodically. And Flipper was caught in a pollution incident as a youngster. Now he did ingest quite a lot of this pollution into his lungs, unfortunately, which left him with a permanent breathing difficulty. Now, once again, the chances are if an animal like Flipper came to the Seal Sanctuary these days, we'd actually know what sort of medication to give him to treat him successfully. You don't like those ones, do you? Treat him successfully to go back out into the wild again. But again, Flipper has been with us now for a number of years, again almost 30 years, so he will have to stay with us as a resident. Last but not least in here, this is Yule Logs. He's the youngest, you can probably tell that because he's also the most active, the most excitable. But how about this one? What do you think of that? Oh, look at that, that's really lovely, isn't it? It's a big fat pollock for him. Yule Logs was actually rescued up in the north of England, and he was kept in a zoo until he was about 4 years of age. At which time he had grown to a rather enormous size, and they were sort of rapidly running out of space and pools to put him in. And he's also a little bit of a handful, probably as a result of the fact that he had quite a nasty head injury as a youngster, and that may have left him with some sort of brain damage. However, the decision was made to try and give fish sharing going on there. Try and give Yule-logs the opportunity to see if he could actually be returned out into the wild. But obviously, as you've probably realised by now, this wasn't a successful venture. He was subsequently picked up by the RSPCA on Christmas Eve, and that's how he ended up with his name of Yule-logs, because they were naming all the animals that they picked up that year after Christmas puddings. So he was sent down here to join our residence, and he's been here ever since, and he's now about 11 years old. So these are the three boys, and these are some of the animals that we have at the Seal Sanctuary. These guys have probably got some of the most amounts of character. They're great fun to work with. When we're looking after the pools in the sanctuary, what we do is we clean them out every other day. We're quite ideally located for a nice natural supply of salt water. We've got the Helford Estuary just in front of me here, and every day the tide comes up the estuary, and during this time we'll actually pump water out of the estuary up into 2 storage tanks that we have located up on the hills behind me here. That's then left in the storage tanks overnight, which allows some of the silt to settle through. And then the next day, when we've actually cleaned some of the pools out, we clean the pools out every other day, so this one's just filling at the moment, and these 3 down here were done today, and then the rest of them will be done tomorrow. So the water then goes through 2 big sand filters, which again gets rid of a little bit more of the silt which is in the estuary, before finally filling the pools up. Now, we don't aim to try and get our pools so that we have crystal clear, sort of white-sided, bright blue pools, which is sort of, you know, kind of how people imagine that pools like these should look, because they are kind of old-fashioned and swimming pool shaped. And the reason for this, the reason we leave the water with, you know, as natural as possible, is because seals out in the wild do actually live in an environment which, if you've ever been swimming in the sea around Britain, you'll know that the water isn't really that clear. Seals have very, very large eyes, which are adapted for being able to see exceptionally well in low-light conditions. And the result of this is that if they were actually kept in water that was crystal clear, and we had lots and lots of sunshine beating down on top of the water, which we did have a few days ago, then they'd actually start swimming around and their eyes can get quite sore and they'll squint, because of course, unlike us, they can't actually put their sunglasses on and protect their eyes from the sunlight. But as I say, these guys are great fun. When we come in here to clean them out, people do often ask us, well, what on earth do you do with the seals while you're cleaning the pools out? Well, there is only one simple answer to that. They actually stay in here with us, and they do their best to either help us or disrupt the proceeds as much as possible. And generally speaking, most of our animals are pretty well behaved when we're coming in to cleaning the pools, except for these guys. When these pools were built, someone had the foresight to think about putting in a very, very large plug down at the far end of the pool so that the pools could be drained rapidly. However, what they didn't think about was the fact that seals are also very large animals indeed, and what Scooby loves to do, as soon as he realises that you're draining the water out and it starts down to a certain level, he'll go and place himself firmly on top of the plug and make sure that he blocks it all up so that the water can't drain away too quickly, so you then have to get down there and try and lever him off with the end of your broom. But as you can imagine, he's quite stubborn, and he sits there looking at you as if he's got no idea what it is that you're trying to achieve. Meanwhile, Flipper, who's the one with a little bit of white on their nose, who's coming out on the side, he absolutely loves playing with the hose pipe. And he'll rush up to you, he'll grab hold of it, and start shaking it from side to side. There's water going everywhere. But what he likes to try and do is he likes to try and position the hose so it's actually pointing down his mouth, so that he can get all the water running down his mouth and then shooting sort of out sideways out the side of his teeth. But as I say, kind of